Now this can happen because there will be many such programs which is very, very important as per CBSE policy. So going forward, please ensure that you do all the proper follow-ups on what all your teachers and guests from outside are coming and talking to you. Dr. Shalini, please feel free to intervene whenever Dr. Kant is there. You will be.
Yes, sir. He's joining. Sir. I've already messaged him, so he's just joining in.
Fair enough. You would like to address the students, Dr. Shalini, about the importance of this?
Yes, definitely. In fact, I'm glad that the students have taken out the time to join in on the Saturday morning. So that shows your your seriousness towards your career. And the purpose of this webinar is basically to to talk about the various opportunities in Delhi NCR, right? So yes, the opportunities are there in Aligarh also, I'm sure, but you can explore much more, Delhi being the capital of India. So let's wait. The resource person for today, Dr. Ravikant Swami sir, the moment he joins in, we will start with our today's session. Good morning, sir. So we can straight away start. So fine. So formally, myself, Dr. Shalini Gautam, I would like to welcome you all. So like we were discussing in the beginning, that in this webinar, we are going to talk about the various opportunities and options that are available to students, not only in terms of the world-class institutions that Delhi NCR has, but also in terms of the various career options, right? In terms of the placements and internship opportunities, which Delhi, being the capital of India, provide you. So that's what we are going to talk about in next 40-45 minutes. So before we start, I would also like to welcome Nihar sir, manager, Nihar Mira National Senior Secondary School. Sir is a versatile lawyer with over 25 years of experience in various roles with law firms, investment banks, and financial service companies in India and UAE. I know that we have also been joined with senior faculties in physics, chemistry, and all. So I would also like to welcome all of you. A few names I know: Mr. Anuj sir, Fat sir. The other also are most welcome in this session. I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, who is the Director, DME, Delhi Metropolitan Education. Sir has over 24 years of experience in teaching in administration and holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan. So before we start, I would request Nihar sir to say a few words, and then we can straight away start with the presentation. Sir, you are on mute. Sir, you are on mute.
I would like to thank Professor Kant and Dr. Shalini and the entire colleagues at staff at DME who have been very kind to speak to our students on an ongoing basis. A lot of our students know Professor Kant. I'm sure that this time Professor Kant is coming up with a broader perspective rather than just focusing on probably courses offered by DME. And I'll not take much of the time because as it is, we are already late by 15 to 80 minutes. So, Professor Kant, please, we have been waiting for you. Kindly, sir, please.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. So audience, today we are going to talk about the opportunities for higher education in Delhi NCR, and we'll say like a teacher, first we'll define the topic and then we'll move ahead. So we'll define what is Delhi and what is NCR. Okay, so we begin by defining Delhi. I think Delhi can be best defined um, in the Bollywood way. So I'm sure this movie of this photo of Lotus Temple, everyone has seen so much in Bollywood, and Lotus Temple is a very secular temple in the sense that there is no murti or statue in this temple, and this scene obviously defines Delhi very well, right? Everyone has seen PK and so many movies. So this scene with the metro going alongside that Hanuman statue. So this is what we mean by Delhi. But then we need to understand what is NCR as well. So what we are going to talk in today's this 35-minute session is we'll try to define what is Delhi NCR. That has to be defined because NCR is something which students are not clearly aware of. Then we'll be talking about the trends which are happening. So I'll be telling you the difference between an academic course and a professional course. Then there's a tier system in education about which we'll be talking about. Then there are kinds of universities and colleges. We'll take a few examples. We'll see the lists. Then the entrance tests and courses. And then we'll draw a comparison between government, private, fee structures, etc. And in the end, we'll be talking about the career scope. So we have defined Delhi in terms of pictures. Let us try to define what is NCR. Okay. So NCR is what? NCR is the National Capital Region, which is geographically defined by the government. Now, these are the districts which are included in Delhi and NCR. So the list is very long. Delhi NCR means Delhi, obviously, plus NCR means the districts in UP, Haryana, and Rajasthan, which are very close to Delhi. So this is what we mean by Delhi NCR. So many districts of Haryana, UP, Rajasthan, they all are included in NCR. So this is how we define our topic. We start by defining what is Delhi and NCR. Now, next, we'll try to understand what is happening in the Indian scenario in terms of education. Now, what is happening? Let us try to simplify this. Before 1991, say take the period 1947 to 1991, government jobs were there, public sector undertakings were there. But then what happened in 1991? Three things happened in 1991. We call them LPG: liberalization, privatization, and globalization. As a result of LPG, what happened? Government sector started shrinking. Government jobs kam hone lage and private sector started increasing. Say, for example, the IT sector, the private banks, the private schools and colleges. So in 1991, due to L, P, and G, the government sector started shrinking and the private sector started expanding. And there changed the education scenario in our country. How did it change? That the private sector, which was expanding, it needed people who were professionally trained. It needed people who had done professional courses. It needed engineers. It needed managers. It needed hotel management graduates. It needed lawyers. While before 1991, anyone could have done MA History or MA English or MA Psychology and then appear in the government entrance exam and fight the competition, so on and so forth. So the scenario changed after 1991 in the sense that due to LPG, the government sector started shrinking, private sector started expanding, and there came in the demand for professional courses rather than academic courses. So let us see what is the difference between a professional course and an academic course. A professional course like hotel management, BBA, BBA LLB, or BTech, it provides you knowledge, it provides you the skills to apply that knowledge, and it provides you the corporate ready attitude. What is attitude? Attitude simply means, in one line I can define attitude, it means work is worship, nothing else. Everything is before work. अगर मेरी मदर एडमिट है हॉस्पिटल में और ऑफिस में कोई काम है तो मुझे उनको छोड़ के ऑफिस में जाना है. This is what the corporate needs. This is what I mean by attitude, right? There are various ways of defining attitude, but this is my way of defining attitude. So professional course gives you knowledge. How to apply that knowledge means skills, and then the corporate ready attitude. A student is trained in such a manner that he is trained for a particular profession. Say, for example, a BBA is trained in such a manner that he straight away joins a company and starts work. While academic courses like BA Psychology, MA History, or anything, they do not train you for a specific job. They train you in general. They provide you knowledge, yes, knowledge, but they don't provide you the skills and the attitude. Therefore, the output of an academic course is knowledge enhancement, while that of a professional course is job. Now, due to LPG, what happened? Private sector increased, and private sector needs people who have done professional courses like engineering or BBA or hotel management or BBA LLB, as compared to people who have done MA history or MA sociology or something like that, right? So this is the way the scenario of education has changed in this country since the last 4 decades. Since 1991, the scenario changed. Demand for professional courses is very high, and demand for academic courses has gone down. Moving ahead, let us try to understand the educational system in India. There are tiers. Talle bane hue hain. There are various levels, right? What are those? In every field we see, say for example, technology. So at the top level we have IITs. At the second level we have NITs. Then we have state government colleges, and then we have private colleges. Similarly, in management, we have IIMs at the top level. In law, we have ILI at the top level. In hotel management, we have IHMs at the top level. So at the top level, all these institutions are funded by the central government. So there is a tier system in education. At the top level, there are some organizations which are centrally funded, run by the central government. Then at the state level, then at other levels, so on and so forth. In all the areas, there are organizations which are tiered like this. Now, let us further try to categorize the educational institutions in our country. There are 4 kinds of universities. Central universities, I'll take examples to clarify my point. Then state government universities, private universities, and deemed universities. We'll straight away move to the examples so that you can understand better. Talking about, because our topic is Delhi NCR only, so I'll take examples of central universities from Delhi. So University of Delhi is a central university. Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, Jamia Millia, IGNOU, Central Sanskrit University, all these are central universities, and it simply means they are funded by the central government. The second category is state government universities. So among the state, the primary university is Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. Why I am saying prime university? Because it is a university which has got around 90 colleges, and those colleges are spread in Delhi and NCR, right? Then we have Ambedkar University, Netaji Subhash Institute of Technology, Delhi Technological University, then NLU Delhi, NLU Sonipat, so on and so forth. So these are all the universities which are these are all the universities which are funded by the state government. Then the next category is private university. The number is very large here. What say KR Mangalam, Gurugram, SGT, Manav Rachana, North Cap. The list is very long, and these are all private universities. Of course, the legal validity of a degree from all these 4 categories of universities is equal. It is same. Then the last category is deemed universities, which include Jamia Hamdard, JP Noida, Shobit, Meerut, Indian Statistical Institute, so on and so forth. So moving on, I'll summarize what we have said. 4 types of universities: central, state, private, and deemed, right? Okay. Now, how do we get admission in these universities? So again, there are levels of entrance tests.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but your full screen is not coming. You can probably make this full screen. Yes, sir. Now it is
Now,
fine, sir.
while we talk about the entrance tests, we find that there are again levels. Say, for example, in engineering, there is a national level test. What is that? We call it JEE. For law, there is CLAT. For management MBA, we have CAT. For hotel management, we have NCHMCT. Now, these are the national level tests. And one thing, please note that the way we are moving is that all organizations and universities are moving towards the national tests, right? Say, for example, IP University used to conduct its own entrance exam for law and engineering, but since 2018, it moved to JEE, which means that now for admission in IP University will not conduct any entrance exam, and the scores of JEE will be considered, right? So please note the trend. The trend is that all universities and organizations are moving towards the national level entrances, and the student has got a benefit in national level tests. What is the benefit? The benefit is that there is no duplicacy or multiplicity of tests. A student can appear in one single test, and that one single test will be considered for admission in all the universities in the country. Say, for example, a student appears in JEE, and we find that the JEE scores are considered by all the colleges and universities in India. Similarly, for law, CLAT is a national level test, so on and so forth. At the same time, I must tell you that still there are many universities which conduct their own independent tests. For example, AMU. So AMU, which is located in your city, it conducts its own entrance exam. Then JNU also conducts its own entrance exam. So there are 2 kinds of tests. One, the national level. Second is conducted by the universities themselves. So that is about the entrance tests. You must remember that if you want to take admission in any course, you must appear in the national level tests. Now I'll tell you little about, as I said, that the trend for professional courses is increasing and that of academic courses is going down. So I'll take a brief view of the professional courses presently, which are very popular. So we have 5-year integrated BA LLB, BB LLB, Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Comm, BBA, Hotel Management and Catering Technology. These are all stream neutral courses. A student who has done 12th in any stream can take admission in any of these courses. Then we have courses like the BTech, architecture, which are there only for students who have got PCM at their 12th. And then we have courses like pharmacy and nursing, wherein students with biology can take admission. So that was a brief picture of the courses which are becoming popular, and these are professional courses. I am not going to talk about academic courses in this program today. For that, we can have some other program. Now, let us take a comparative view of the universities and colleges available in Delhi NCR. Friends, I can tell you that Delhi NCR is a hub of educational institutions. There are hundreds of universities in Delhi NCR. So I must tell you, I'll not tell you which is good, which is bad, but I'll make a comparative analysis. So we can compare in 2 ways. First is the government versus private, because the government organizations are available and the private organizations are available, right? So The government organizations have got certain advantages over the private organizations. I am not saying that private organizations are inferior in any sense, but yes, the government organizations have got certain advantages. And the advantage is that number one, they have got a stamp of authenticity. I don't know whether this perception is right or wrong, but they have got a stamp of authenticity. हम लोग क्या मानते हैं, गवर्नमेंट का है तो सही है, right? This is our perception. So that is one. Then another thing is that the second part we can compare other than authenticity is the fee part. Yes, fee is obviously a point because it is your parents' hard-earned money. So generally the government organizations have got a lower fee structure as compared to private organizations. I'll take a specific example. Say for example, IP University 5-year BBA LLB, the fee is 80,000 per year, 8 5s are 40, 4 lakhs for the complete course, 80,000 per year. Go to OP Jindal University, the fee is 10 times, 8 lakh per annum. I think not to be quoted, it's an approximate figure. It's approximately 8 lakh per annum. You do the same course in 40 lakhs. So that is a truth that generally the private universities have got a higher fee structure as compared to the government universities. Another thing is that these government universities do not have any hidden charges because again, it's for you to decide, but there is a perception that private universities generally, at the time of admission, they may say that fees ABC, and then later on they say that, okay, you pay additionally for exams, for placements, for picnics. So that is a perception. I'm not saying right or wrong, but yes, one thing I can say that government universities have a fee structure which is lower as compared to the private universities. I have taken a specific example. OP Jindal Global University, 8 lakh per year. IP University, 80,000 per year. OP Jindal's fee for the same course like BLLB or BBLLB is 10 times that of IP University. I'm just making a comparison. The figures are almost correct. So this is how we make a comparison between various universities and colleges available in Delhi and NCR. The last part of today's presentation, students, we are not going to take much time. We must understand when we say that the scope for professional courses is increasing, we must also understand the scope of professional courses. So let us talk about the scope of various courses. First, the law courses. After a law course like BLLB or BBLLB, there are 4 career options available. First is litigation. You can become a practicing advocate like Mr. Amitabh Nihar. He's a practicing advocate in Delhi. Second, you can join a law firm. Third is you can prepare for judiciary. You can become a magistrate. And fourth is politics. Now, politics is, you may ask why I am saying politics is a career option for law graduates. I am saying so because you look around the world, you look in India, everywhere we find that lawyers are ruling the politics. So be it Jawaharlal Nehru or Sardar Patel or Mahatma Gandhi or Barack Obama or the recently appointed, recently elected Vice President, Indian Vice President of USA, Kamala Harris. All of them are law graduates. So I say that politics is also a career option for law graduates. So this is about the career options after a law course: law firm, litigation, judiciary, or politics. Moving ahead, journalism and mass comm is an area which has become suddenly very popular, and there is a reason for that. The reason is this thing, mobile. Why this is the reason? It is the reason because earlier we had theaters, then came television, but now this mobile has brought in, it has increased the scope of journalism in such a big manner that so many areas have come up as far as the scope of journalism is concerned. It is print journalism, photography, event management, broadcast journalism, graphic designing, radio jockey, There are so many popular radio jockeys. Everyone remembers how Baua becomes an old man, right? Then advertising and public relations, filmmaking, anchoring, so many areas have opened up in journalism for the reason that this mobile has opened up large number of areas for the mass media students. That was the scope of journalism. As far as a management course is concerned, BBA is a graduate course, which again is becoming very popular. And as far as the scope of this is concerned, marketing, finance, HR, operations, and international business. Five areas are there wherein a person who has done a management course can find a career path. Moving ahead. Hotel management, we have again front office. The moment you enter a hotel, someone is there to welcome you. So front office is an area where a person who has done BHMCT can find a career path. Then housekeeping means maintaining the hotel, cleanliness, everything. Then food and beverage, kitchen, bar, etc. These are the areas. And then one very popular way is that you can start a restaurant, because Indians ko khane pine ka bahut shauk hai. We are overweight, like the Americans. Americans are also known to be overweight people. So you can own a restaurant. That is another scope of a hotel management course. Coming to technology students, I have something to share with you. What I want to share with you is that technology is pattern oriented, in the sense that when India became independent, the country was building. So civil engineering was at the top. Then the power sector, Bijli, right? So electrical came at the top. Then India was becoming a manufacturing hub. Mechanical engineering came at the top. So this is how things happened. But then what happened after that? What happened after 1990? India became a information technology hub. And therefore, I must tell you that in the coming 4 or 5 decades, the scope of BTech computer science or IT or electronics is the best. And while I talk about the areas in which BTech computer science can find job avenues is cloud, then cyber security, then artificial intelligence, then Internet of Things, IoT, so on and so forth. I can tell you, students, with COVID, the world has realized that we have not digitized enough. हमने अभी digitization बहुत कम किया है. What does this mean? It simply means that now digitization is going to come up in a big way. Digitization की आंधी आने वाली है, और उस आंधी को लाएगा कौन? BTech computer science के बच्चे, right? So this defines the scope of BTech computer science. And again, I must say that civil, mechanical, electrical, their scope has gone down, and that of computer science has gone up, and it is going to remain up for the coming 4 to 5 decades. Architecture is again another professional course. Whether it is housing industry or infra, we need architects. And students, I am sure you are aware that 18% of the world's population lives in India. What does that mean? It simply means that the need for housing can never stop. It can never stop. Then who's going to manage that? Architects. So this defines the scope of architecture course. Of course, infra, lot of things are being done. That Yamuna Expressway, it has made the travel between Delhi and Aligarh very easy. So all these infra projects are also developed by architects. That defines the scope of architecture course. Students, it's a 5-year course, BArch. The scope of biology courses, after B Pharma, you can become a scientist, you can become a medical representative, or you can start a medical store also. Medical store is obviously a good business, especially in the post-COVID era. I know a medical store near my home. since the last 5-6 years, it had no customers. But after COVID, he is the person who is earning a lot. So therefore, the scope of B Pharma includes that you can start a medical store. Is this question coming to your mind? What is good for me? Okay. So no one can tell you what is good for you. There are people who say that we can meet a student and tell what is good for him or her and something like that. But I disagree with that. Why? Because in a 10 or 15-minute meeting, no one can judge what is good for you and what is bad for you. Therefore, what I tell my students or I tell my audience is, whichever course you do, you see the researches. Whichever course in this world you see, 25% students are not very successful, partially successful, while 25% are very successful. But the majority, the 50% people in any course are successful. So this diagram defines what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the between part, the in-between part, the majority of the people who pursue any course are successful, are happy, are satisfied in their lives. While there are 25% who do not do well, and there are 25% who do very well, who achieve a celebrity kind of status. So therefore, nothing is good for you, nothing is bad for you. Whichever course you take, I'll give a solution. This is the last slide. Formula for success. Students, can anyone give you the formula for success? No. Even God cannot give you the formula for success. Who am I? Therefore, I don't know. People go to Nirmal Baba and he says, okay, ye kar do, kripa wahan ruki hui hai. Okay, that is not to be believed. No one has got the formula for success. Even God does not have the formula for success. So what is the formula? I'll quote Rajesh Khanna from the film Bawarchi. He said, it is very simple to be happy. It is very simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. So the formula for success, my dear audience, is very simple, but difficult to implement. What is that formula? The formula is in front of you. Whichever course you do, you acquire the right set of knowledge, you acquire the skills to apply that knowledge, and if you have the corporate ready attitude, the world is waiting for you, jobs are waiting for you. Thank you, students. Thank you, audience. Thank you, teachers, for being a brilliant audience today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Now the students, the chat has been enabled. You can ask your questions in the chat box by writing into us. I have already got few of the questions, sir, which I start asking. So the first question is, should I go for the course or the college?
Sorry, college or?
College or the course?
College or the course? Okay.
Yes.
First is course, then comes the college. Because first you will decide that, okay, say I have to do BTech. And then you can search for the colleges which are running BTech. And then Delhi NCR is a hub, as we have discussed today. Private universities, deemed universities, fee ranges from 80,000 to 8 lakhs. So you can then, first you choose the course and then you go for what fits you, what fits your calculation. Because there has to be a calculation. You have to see the return on investment. If after spending 40 lakhs, the return is the same which is there after spending 4 lakhs, who's going to go for 40 lakh course? And then you have to see a college is far from your place. You are going to stay in a hostel. All those calculations are going to be there. So first you choose the course and then you choose the college.
I think, sir, you have answered the next question also, which is there on my screen, where the student is asking, is it worth studying in any of the private universities as they have got quite high fees?
Well, students, I'll be very honest in this answer. Although I am representing a government university today. We are representing Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. We work for that university. But I'll be honest, no university I can say is bad because private universities are doing so well. I cannot name, but then there are so many private universities in Delhi NCR which have produced brilliant products. That their products are doing wonders. Yes, Tapsi Pannu is a product of IPU, and Kriti Senon is a product of JP Noida Sector 62. So that way, every university and college has got this kind of structure. The 25% students, they do very well, 25% not so well, but the majority they do well. So means private universities are also good. They are not bad. And it is not that all the private universities have got a high structure. Generally, it happens, but it's not necessary. There are private universities which have got a reasonable fee structure also.
Sir, the next question is from Kushagra. He's asking which course to choose to join DRDO.
DRDO, okay. So Defense Research and Development Organization, if you are fond of becoming, it's an organization which basically recruits scientists. So for that, definitely you have to go for BTech. You go for BTech Electronics, you go for BTech Computer Science, and then you can easily join DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization.
Right.
BTech is the best for that.
Sir, another question which is coming is any quota system in Delhi NCR, or can I get the admission without any hassles?
Every university, every college has got quotas in terms of reservations. There are seats reserved for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward castes, physically handicapped people, ex-servicemen. Every school, every college, even quotas are there for sportsmen. So every school, every college is governed by government UGC guidelines, and therefore the quotas are there. Yes, one point is there that government universities follows the quotas in a meticulous way, while private universities generally they do not.
Right. Sir, you have mentioned about the various entrance courses and all. So that's why the student is asking, is it necessary to go through any coaching center, or can I get the admission by doing self-study?
Well, I should have thrown this question towards Amitabh Niharji. He is my learned friend today. But yes, coaching, it's very difficult to answer because, eventually it is self-study which is going to sail you through. No one can, we have injections for tetanus, for pain, we have vaccines, but till date there is no vaccine for knowledge. So I remember a Govinda movie. He says कि मैं समझदारी के injection लगवा के आया हूँ. So it's not possible. So no coaching center can can give you jabs or injections that you suddenly become successful. They can only guide you. So for guidance purpose it's fine, but eventually it is you who have to perform the hard work. कोई injection तो आता नहीं इस दुनिया में knowledge का.
Right. Absolutely. I think coaching institutes can provide you with a good guidance, but next
they can provide a broad guidance, but eventually right. I have to learn, no?
Yes, yes. So, sir, other question, I may probably club these two questions because this is coming first is which all approval should we see to check the sanctity of the university? And the next question, I think it is coming from the concern that there was news regarding the fake universities recently in the paper.
Very right, very right.
So how should we check that whether the university is approved by the...
Okay, so Dr. Shalini, you can write in the chat box ugc.ac.in. Yeah. Don't check the that colleges or universities website. You check the website of the parent, which is UGC. University Grants Commission. You go there, there are lists of all these categories available. And if UGC site, if you find the name of any university there, it means it is a properly authenticated university. That is one way. Another way is you go for rankings, you go for gradings. Now, students, here is a catch. The catch is that, gradings are done by magazines, journals, India Today, Dainik Bhaskar, and Frontline and Business World. All of them are going for rankings. But I can say, not to be quoted, ma'am, I can say that you should go by the rankings, you should believe the rankings by two organizations. One is NIRF and second is NAC, because both these organizations belong to the government itself. NIRF is what? National Institutional Ranking Framework. Yes, it's written in the chat box by Dr. Shalini. So go by the rankings of NIRF. For example, out of 875 universities in India, the ranking of IP University is 95th, which means it is among the top 10% universities in this country. So don't go by the rankings provided by any magazine or journal or India Today or Dainik Bhaskar. Don't go by that, because I'll not comment on that. You go by the rankings of NIRF, by the gradings of NAC. Again, IP University has got an A grading by NAC. So to conclude this answer, first check the UGC website. If the name is available there, it is authentic. The degree is legal. Second is you go by the NIRF and NAC gradings. Third important thing is AIU membership, Association of Indian Universities. If any university is member of AIU, it means its degree is recognized throughout the world. So AIU membership also is to be seen. So three things: check the UGC website, check the rankings by NIRF, gradings by NAC, and AIU membership. That will provide you a fair idea about the authenticity of any university.
I think we can take the last question of the session. So the student is asking about are there any scholarship facilities available?
Well, एक ही चीज के दो नाम होते हैं बेटा. In private universities, scholarships बोलते हैं होते discount है, right? But in government universities there are real scholarships. I'll tell you why. Any scholarship which is given to you that okay, ठीक है आपके 80% है, आपको हम 10% less करते हैं. Is this scholarship or discount? It's a marketing tool. It's not a scholarship. It's a discount. But in case of government universities, they say that, say for example, in Delhi IP University, there is a very popular scholarship, MCM, Merit Cum Means. In that scholarship, if any student has got 60% and no reappear, once he takes admission in any IPU course, then there are scholarships available. And if your parents have income up till 6 lakhs, the scholarship is yours, provided you have no reappear and more than 60%. So try to understand the difference between scholarship and fee discount. Anything which is given before you take admission is a discount, and anything which is given once you take admission in a course and while you perform, that is a scholarship.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We don't have any other questions in the chat box. So if any student has any question, you can type it right now, or we can conclude with the session. Right. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, please
Can I
go
just-
ahead.
Does type of university make any impression in any interview? Like, I believe they're asking in terms of job prospects later. So what
Can you repeat the question?
does the type of university make any impression in any interview?
Yes and no. The answer is like this. I'll explain that. Yes, in the sense that, say, famous government universities, they don't need any introduction. If they are mentioned in your CV, no one will ask कि ये क्या है, कहाँ है, right? So that gives an advantage. Say for example, if you say you do your BTech from XYZ private university, then someone may ask कि ये कहाँ पे है, right? या ये कौन सी university है? On the other hand, if you do your BTech from something like IPU, so everyone knows, सामने वाले को पता है, so that gives them little advantage. So in this sense, the answer is yes, it does make a difference. The answer is no in terms of legal locus standi. The legal situation, the legal status is obviously the same. You go for any degree from any kind of university, the legal validity is absolutely same, or I can use the word identical. There is no difference at all.
Sir, I think there is this confusion in Kushagra's mind still, because he asked for the DRDO and now he's asking a question, may I do robotic engineering to join DRDO? So same student asked for the
Absolutely,
DRDO.
absolutely. So Kushagra, robotics is very much part of electronics engineering. So in that case, if you are interested in robotics, rather than going for per se robotic engineering, because this course may not be available, you simply go for electronics. And I can tell you robotics is a large part of BTech electronics. So I suggest BTech electronics and then DRDO.
So thank you so much, sir. Vedapriya ma'am, do you have any questions in your chat box?
That's it, ma'am. That's it.
Right. So with this, we can conclude the session. So I would like to thank sir for such a wonderful presentation. I hope that many of the questions are clear of the students. I would also like to thank Mr. Nihar. He had a meeting, so he told us earlier that probably he would have to leave in between. So Mr. Faz, you can probably convey a sincere thanks to him for organizing all this and for being instrumental in organizing the show. So thank you all of you. Thank you all the students who have taken out their time on the Saturday morning to listen about the various career opportunities in Delhi NCR. So thank you all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.